Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We are back with another episode of Daily Palantir. We've got two big pieces of news today. Number one, price target upgrade again right before earnings to $28 from Citibank. So we're going to talk about that price target upgrade and why they did it. And then number two, if you were listening to Microsoft's earnings yesterday, Satya Nadella, the CEO of the $3 trillion company that is Microsoft, mentioned Palantir. A lot to get into. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's quickly do the price target, and then I want to move to the big news of the day, which is the actual Microsoft mentioned, which there's a lot of layers to it that I think are really cool to dive into. So first of all, we've got two price target updates. Citi raised it to 28. Now, they still have a neutral versus a buy. Or they have a hold versus a buy. So they're saying, hey, don't buy the stock, but we are raising the price target from $24 to $28. They say our recent HQ visit left us incrementally positive on commercial AIP momentum. Though we think monetization and revenue traction is in the early days, we expect a revenue beat. They also reflect higher commercial and government long-term growth rates based on the momentum from commercial and AIP. So this is another price target increase we get from the street. Jefferies gave us $28 yesterday or 2 days ago, but said, hey, don't buy, still hold, still neutral. Citi, same exact mindset, but they're still upgrading the price because they do feel there's going to be more commercial momentum, even if there is not more monetization. And eventually, if you are a Palantir investor, you believe the monetization will come. I know some people are thinking it's been a year from now. Since they started AIP, the monetization should be coming. I agree. And I do think by Q4, latest Q1 2025, we really will start to see the monetization. But all of AI is still in its infancy. And I think for the first year, Palantir was just educating the market on what AI is, what AIP even means for the enterprise. So I think if they can keep growing top-line customers, even if they're not massively beating on revenue, that's important, because if the street dips it on that, given all these banks are already raising their price targets to 28 and we go back to 21, 22, I think that's a very easy buy the dip, because you know the money's coming in the future, even if the money is not here yet. Then we also got our boy Rishi, who reiterated his $9 price target. He says, Palantir is the only name we track trading at 20 times enterprise value over calendar year 2024 revenues. We cannot rationalize why Palantir is the most expensive name in software absent a substantial beat and raise quarter, elevating the growth trajectory. Valuation looks unsustainable. So you've got $9 price targets on the street, and then we got $50 price targets on the street. The average is closer to that $24 to $28 price target. I think the increases in price targets we've seen have been pretty substantial and important ultimately for Palantir, because more people are acknowledging, hey, even though we think it's a bit overvalued, and if you think it's overvalued at 24, I don't know why they're upgrading it to 28, but we talked about this a couple days ago. The reason they're upgrading is because they feel there's something special around Palantir. There is some type of growth that is coming in the future that they don't want to miss. And as a result, even the analysts are admitting, besides Rishi, you might have to pay a premium for this name, but it's worth paying a premium for this name. So all in all these upgrades happening right before earnings. We've got earnings on Monday. I'll have a recap video coming soon, or a preview video coming soon on what I expect on earnings. But it's nice to see Palantir is getting respected from the street. And now we just got to see what happens on earnings. All right, next big thing to talk about, Microsoft and how they mentioned Palantir. So I was listening to the Q2 2024 earnings call for Microsoft. They fell 10% or 8.5%. The entire market was basically falling off this news. The NASDAQ fell, Palantir fell, everything fell. Now they've recovered. They're down like 1% right now. It really was kind of a blip in terms of how the market thought of some of their cloud revenue after the call. That kind of calmed down the market in terms of their guidance, their CapEx, etc. But during the call, they mentioned a good old company that we know pretty well, and this was my reaction to when they mentioned it, and this is why I think it's important to analyze why they mentioned Palantir.
The number of paid models as a service customers more than doubled quarter over quarter, and we are seeing increased usage by leaders in every industry from Adobe and Bridgestone to Novo Nordisk and Palantir. Now on to data. Our Microsoft Intelligent Data Platform provides customers with the broadest capabilities spanning databases, analytics, business intelligence, and governance, along with seamless integration with all of our AI services. The number of Azure AI customers also using our data and analytics tools grew nearly 50. The number of...
I couldn't believe it, dude. I could not believe it. It was one of those things where I was like, holy crap, did that just happen? Like, did he just mention Palantir in that sentence? So to break down what exactly he said and what actually matters. So the quote was, the number of paid models as a service that customers are using. More than doubled quarter over quarter, which is amazing growth for Microsoft. And we are seeing increased usage by leaders in every industry, from Adobe and Bridgestone to Novo Nordisk and Palantir. Now, why does this matter? First of all, top line. Look, I know Satya mentioned is not like the biggest thing in the world. I know it's not like life-changing for Palantir or anything like that. However, this is a journey, and we're covering the journey. And one day, I think Palantir is a much larger company than it is today. And within the journey, I believe in this not only for Palantir, but for life in general, you've got to stop and kind of smell the flowers. And these are moments that are very exciting. This is the first time that we've had a high-level public tech CEO, and he's leading the AI revolution right now in Satya, mention us in this much of a public way. For example, Jensen Huang kind of was on stage with Frank Slootman of Snowflake, I think a year ago in May 2023 at a conference, and they speaked together, right? And it's just a little bit of like industry validation when the godfather of AI is talking to you as a SaaS company. Palantir never really had that moment. We've had validation from a variety of different angles, but we never had a Satya or a Sundar kind of just mention Palantir like this. So on an earnings call where thousands and thousands of investors are listening, a lot of them probably don't even know Palantir, for them to hear Palantir in the same sentence as industry leader, I thought that was very special. And I think it's just something as a community we should celebrate for the moment. And get to just be like, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool to see. Now, outside of that, this was a pre-planned script. So that's another thing I wanted to say, is that this wasn't like, he didn't just say this off the top of his head, right? They pre-wrote that script, him and his team, and they had to deliberately pick 4 companies that they would include in that part of the opening statement. And they picked Palantir for a reason. And so it begs the question, well, why did they pick Palantir? Why are they not picking a Snowflake or a Databricks or a ServiceNow? Why are they picking Palantir in particular to mention in that part of the opening statement? And I think it's because of this. So I think there's kind of 2 core reasons for why Microsoft is really liking what Palantir is doing. Number one, Foundry and AIP are essentially using LLMs within the enterprise to deploy models that act as AI infrastructure for business intelligence. Many of those requests from those models can go to things like Gemini, Claude, but a lot of them go to GPT. Why? Because OpenAI's GPT is just one of the best models that is out there. And given Microsoft owns 50% of OpenAI, Palantir deploying GPT into the enterprise is super bullish for the acceleration of OpenAI and Microsoft. So when Palantir onboards a client and they integrate Foundry and then AIP, and then that client is using AIP to make LLM requests, because Palantir uses a variety of different LLMs within AIP. If they're picking GPT, they're picking GPT because Palantir enables them to use GPT via AIP, which acts as like the abstraction layer on top of Foundry to enable AI in a variety of different workflows. And then boom, you've got OpenAI or Microsoft making a ton of money from those GPT requests, whether it's going through Azure AI Cloud or whether it's going directly through OpenAI. The point is Microsoft benefits a lot from that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is Microsoft's Azure AI Cloud is likely seeing an uptick because of companies like Palantir. Their cloud is already growing, but companies like Palantir are contributing to that cloud growth, that are cloud agnostic and able to bring more AI workloads from their clients to Azure, which is very important to Microsoft's cloud growth. So it seems like Microsoft is realizing that Palantir is becoming a leader in the broader SaaS space for AI, which is why they're mentioning Palantir versus some of the other SaaS companies, because as Palantir is bringing clients onto Foundry and those clients have AI workloads that either are already existing Azure cloud customers that are upping their spend with Azure because now they're using Foundry, AIP, etc., or they're new clients that want to get integrated onto some type of AI cloud, and Palantir is easily integrating them into any of the AI clouds. Microsoft might be one of them, GCP, Oracle, etc. That is bringing an uptick to Microsoft's business as well. Now, I'm not saying Palantir is responsible for all of Microsoft's cloud revenue. Obviously, Microsoft is doing amazing things in terms of how they're growing. GitHub Copilot is up 180% year over year. Microsoft Azure AI Cloud customers are up 60% year over year. Microsoft Teams, 3 million seats, that's up 400% year over year. So they're doing a lot of things organically to grow, but they have channel partners, and Palantir is one of those channel partners. And one of the benefits of Satya mentioning Palantir is that the CEO himself, right, the top dog at the $3 trillion company that is Microsoft, is realizing, oh, Palantir, those guys are one of our channel partners that's really helping us deploy these models and bring on more clients to our AI cloud workloads. And again, Azure is the biggest part of Microsoft's AI moat. It's the part that's growing the fastest. And quite frankly, it's the reason the stock fell 8.5% yesterday, because they missed by 0.4. The street wanted 38 or 36.84 billion. Microsoft brought in 36.8 billion. And that 0.4 is what cause the collapse after hours because the street was thinking, oh, is AI over? Do people are not, or is there no demand for AI cloud, etc. So cloud is very important. And if Microsoft is pushing, if Palantir is pushing the Microsoft cloud and the broader GPT usage that Microsoft owns 50% of in terms of OpenAI, then that's probably why Satya is very excited for a company like Palantir. So overall, I mean, I just thought this was pretty cool. The community definitely got a kick out of it. If you were on Twitter, you were part of the live stream at the time of the market close, you probably saw me react and you saw other people react. It's like as soon as it happened, all the chat comments were like, did he just say, did we just Palantir? Did we just hear Palantir? And like all of us were like, we definitely heard Palantir, right? And then I was like, oh, I gotta go find the quote. So I was like rewinding, trying to get the quote. But it was really cool to see us get that shout out. And again, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but it's one of those things you celebrate as a community because these are moments in the journey of covering a company. And it's a really cool thing to see a $3 trillion tech CEO say, yeah, Palantir, that's the company that's a leader in their industry. That's the company we want to mention in our earnings call. And that's a company that we think is a pioneer when it comes to AI. So exciting stuff. Thank you all for listening. We have earnings on Monday. I'll have an earnings preview soon. Palantir Weekly this week. We'll go very deep into the numbers. And then August 5th, after hours, we'll see what we get for Palantir earnings. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. I'll see you in the next one.